6 in St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands, we begin coverage of the 4th edition of Concacaf Nations League. We're in League C, Group A. To help kick things off, it is the U.S. Virgin Islands, the hosts, taking on the Bahamas. 88 degrees in St. Croix. Before we get this really important opener kicked off, Sean St. Jacques, our entire crew, happy to have you along for the ride. Here are the standings going into group play here in Group A in the Nations League's League C. So obviously, it is going to be a very important opening match for the two teams involved here. A win could already put you in a very, very strong position to earn promotion to League B, which is what these three countries in Group A are going to be vying for. We're excited to see how this one plays out. The Bahamas, of course, are trying to get back to League B after they were relegated from League B last time around. And for the U.S. Virgin Islands, they've never made it to League B in their Nations League history. But, of course, they've always been a factor in League C play. They will hope to go one step further this time around. It begins a wonderful international window. Ton of games coming up, not just in League C, but of course in League A and League B as well. It's one of our favorite times on the soccer calendar, and we are very excited to see how all the games play out. We'll step aside for now. We'll meet the teams. We'll get to the anthems, lineups, and the kickoff from St. Croix. All of it's coming up in just a moment here at the Concacaf Nations League, League C, Group A.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of the Bahamas. Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the national anthem of the U.S. Virgin Islands.
Now, two wonderful renditions of the respective countries' national anthems as we are nearing kickoff here in St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Again, Sean St. Jacques here with you. Happy to be with you. Kick off a 4th edition of the Concacaf Nations League. And again, we're in League C, Group A, to get things started. Of course, with just a 3-team group, time is of the essence, and points will be coming at a premium. Only one team out of the 3 will progress and get promoted to League B for the next edition of the competition. Terry Jones is the head coach of the U.S. Virgin Islands. Here is his starting lineup. Hassani Edgar and Naquan Henry will be two very important pieces in the attack. Then you look at that midfield 4. Rakeem Joseph, Jimson St. Louis, and on top of that, Matthew Roth, all going to be of the utmost importance. And Dylan Ramos gets the starting goal. Joshua Ramos captains the side for the men in yellow. The two captains meet in the center. Leslie St. Fleur is the captain for the Bahamas as you meet the officiating crew. It's an all-Honduran officiating crew led by Jefferson Escobar, who will be our head official in the middle of the park. The Bahamas will be in a turquoise with a sash down the front. Of course, we talked about Leslie St. Fleur. He's going to be really, really important for our Nestle Jean's group for the Bahamas today. Again, he captains the side, one of the 2 attacking players up front. Of course, Wood Julmus, who had a really good Nations League campaign last time around, also a key cog in the attack. Quentin Carey and Christopher Roming Jr. important in the midfield. Jonathan Miller leads the back line in front of Michael Butler, who gets the start in goal today. It's just the second all-time meeting between these two countries. The last time they met, it finished in a draw. So we will see if history will repeat itself. It does tend to happen sometimes, depending on the fixture in CONCACAF Nations League play. Or will one of these two teams get the early boost in this Group A setup? Get 3 points today feels and really is so important to getting an opportunity at promotion out of the group. But again, just to reiterate, because there's only 3 teams in the group, the quicker you can get points and the more points you can get, the much better your chances improve of getting promoted back, in Bahamas' case, or for the first time in the U.S. Virgin Islands case, to League B.
Number 1 goalkeeper, Dylan Ramos. Number 2, defender Chet Blashka. Number 3, defender Joshua Ramos. Number 4,
U.S. Virgin Islands are going to kick us off. They're going to be going from left to right here in St. Croix as we are about to kick off a 4th edition of the CONCACAF Nations League. Time flies when you're having fun, and we're excited to see how this one plays out. Second all-time meeting between these two countries with quite a bit at stake. Most importantly, the 3 points and a possible promotion to League B for the next iteration of the competition. Off we go from the U.S. Virgin Islands. The hosts have it in possession. The Bahamas look to put some early pressure on the U.S. Virgin Islands in the second all-time meeting. It's wonderful weather today in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the Bahamas look to get an early start here, and the referee gives them a penalty inside of 20 seconds. Wood Julmus dragged down inside of the penalty area. The referee had a thought on it and points to the penalty spot. Flag stayed down when there was an arm around the chest of Wood Julmus. Referee, again, to his credit, had a really long thought over that. He gives Bahamas the penalty, and it's a huge, huge opportunity for the visitors here as we approach a minute in the match. The penalty was awarded inside of 20 seconds. Well, for this all-important spot kick, Leslie St. Fleur is going to be the man chosen to take this. He's the top scorer for the Bahamas in CONCACAF Nations League play. He scored 4 times in this competition's past. This is a huge early kick in the campaign for both countries here in the Nations League. The captain steps up for the Bahamas and delivers for the Bahamas. Leslie Saint-Fleur buries the penalty, and the Bahamas take a huge early step here. They lead by a 1-0. So many teams rely on their captains to convert, with so much hanging in the balance. And Leslie Saint-Fleur makes no mistake for the Bahamas. It is an exquisite penalty. And the Bahamas lead on the road. They're up by a 0-0. US Virgin Islands looking to reply immediately. It doesn't quite work out. It's well defended. It's a goal kick as Jet Blashka tried to put the pressure on the visitors. Leslie Saint-Fleur, 5 goals now for the Bahamas in CONCACAF Nations League play. That's a huge early moment. It did look like it was a penalty. We had a second look at it. Looked like the referee did well, had a chance to take a beat, think about it, and there was clearly an arm around Wood Julmus. That is what leads to a huge penalty conversion. The Bahamas have a perfect start to life back in League C. Now, is that going to be a free kick? Yes, it is. Juan Henry brought down for the US Virgin Islands. Not sure if it's the pattern on the ball or the wonderful surface here in the US Virgin Islands, but that ball was humming on the ground. It is a quick surface, it looks like. We'll see how that impacts the match. This one's floated in. Ooh, it's a chance for a volley. Oh, good block. Second attempt, it's still not cleared. Was there a challenge in there? Referee again had a good look at it. Nothing doing. It was Matthew Roth who had a couple of chances at it. Still an opportunity on the edge of the penalty area. Raheem Joseph was in the area, couldn't get the shot away. It was cleared away before he could really get a touch on it. Julmus won the penalty, spreads it out to the far side. The Bahamas build towards what they hope could be another opportunity here. Leslie Saint-Fleur giving the Bahamas a 1-0 lead inside of 2 minutes after a penalty was given inside of 20 seconds. That's how fast of a start we've gotten off to here. Oh, was that handled? Referee had to think over that. Allows play to continue. Then there was a little nudge in the back on the near side. Looks like it's going to be a free kick. A brief opportunity to break there for the US Virgin Islands. You wonder if that's going to be where they can find opportunities to get back in the match. Of course, the pros and cons of it all. The con is that US Virgin Islands are already behind. The pro is they have a lot of time left to get the goal back. The Bahamas are off to the races again. Good cross into the middle. It's defended well, but it's at the expense of a corner. That was Steph Barber who is there defensively. US Virgin Islands. Jordan Cheatham is going to take the corner in a moment at least. Referee making sure everything is all right inside the penalty area. Cheatham. Oh, it was an overhead kick attempt, but it was headed away. The follow-up shot is blocked on the edge of the penalty area. And the Bahamas do enough. Back there, I think that was William Bales who was able to do the job. Michael Massey, William Bayless, and Quentin Carey going to be a few important players to watch for the Bahamas today at their respective positions. And it was actually Bayless there who was able to deal with that before there was a potential counterattacking opportunity on for the U.S. Virgin Islands in transition. There is a player down for the Bahamas here on the near side at the very end of the sequence. It's Jonathan Miller. Sent ahead by Cheatham. U.S. Virgin Islands, not too much trouble, regained possession. Dylan Ramos sends it ahead. Jet Blashka. That almost went all the way through, but Cheatham is there to settle things down for the Bahamas. Yeah, the Bahamas back in 2019-2020, first season of Nations League play. They got promoted to League B that season. They went undefeated in 4 games, 3 wins and just 1 draw along the way. Then they spent the last 2 seasons in League B. They stayed in League B in 2022-2023. Then they got relegated to League C in last year's campaign, and they're trying to get back to League B in this year's Concacaf Nations League group stage. Dylan Ramos, he's on the case there, makes the catch for the U.S. Virgin Islands, who have spent all of their time in the Nations League in League C. They picked up a couple of wins along the way. They have yet to earn promotion out of this league. They're hoping that the 4th time's the charm. Of course, a win today, if they can come back and get it, would be of the utmost importance. It really would be. A gigantic boost for whoever can claim the points. Of course, the 3rd team in the group, Barbados, will certainly have a big say. And again, just to reiterate, the way it works, finish top of the group, you're through. You get to League B automatically, and then 2nd place, possible promotion. And there'll be a play-in round after that to decide how everything falls afterwards. But if you finish in 3rd, you remain in League C moving forward. And again, that's why this match is so important. Get the win, you could be in fantastic shape moving forward. Bahamas from the corner that was fizzed in there. Headed out, it's going to be a corner taken from the opposite end with 10 minutes gone here in St. Croix. Cheatham. That's a high arcer, maybe too high. No one can get on the end of it, and the U.S. Virgin Islands will get a throw-in from it. Again, for those just joining us, got off to about as fast of a start as you can get off to in a game of football. Penalty was awarded for the Bahamas inside of 20 seconds. And then in the 2nd minute, Leslie St. Fleur bearing the chance from the spot. At the other end, the U.S. Virgin Islands get a cross in, but Michael Butler, he's there. Oh, and Butler absolutely launches that forward. That's one of the better goalkeeping arms you'll see. That was a really impressive chuck forward. However, his teammates couldn't really keep possession, and Joshua Ramos, the captain for the U.S. Virgin Islands, tries to put that ahead, but he loses out. It's a long-range effort. The goalkeeper Ramos off his line, but the chance soars over the top. That was Brandon Adderley, really trying to put his name up in lights. That was a wonderful attempt, but it was well over the top in the end. Again, the Bahamas looking to win the ball right back. They do, as the ball was played forward. Nice interplay on the far side, a chance to maybe find the angle, but it's well defended by the U.S. Virgin Islands. And it's going to be a free kick for the hosts in the end, it looks like. Barber to take for the hosts. And he puts good velocity on it. And it was nearly won in behind by Naquan Henry. But the goal scorer and captain for the Bahamas, St. Fleur, is there to make the challenge and win the free kick. Again, it's worth reiterating, players like Leslie St. Fleur in some of these major tournament setups can just be so invaluable to their teams. Having experience at this level, Nations League and other major tournaments, whatever it is, it just adds an extra boost in those high pressure situations, and it's really paid off early on here for the Bahamas. Now then, can the U.S. Virgin Islands break at the other end? The answer is no. It's really well defended. The Bahamas will reset. I think that was Michael Massey cleaning things up. Massey called upon again, has some help. Near side Miller. Bayless. Ricochets out for a throw to the visitors. From the throw, and it's chested down to the edge of the penalty area. A turn and a shot. It's blocked away. Comes out for a second attempt. And said it was a dribble. West Virgin Islands struggling to clear their lines here. Massey out to the far side. Could the cross be on here? It's sent towards the near side in the end. Maybe too much on that. And it bounces out for a goal kick. Certainly the Bahamas looking very sharp. They're able to get the ball in and around the penalty area, but still looking for that finishing touch from open play. And their goal came from a penalty spot kick conversion. Virgin Islands have been opting so far to really go after it on the counterattack, but again, they just haven't had too many opportunities yet to really trouble Michael Butler in the Bahamas goal. That will have to change as the match continues. Was there a foul there? Terry Jones, the U.S. Virgin Islands coach, was asking the question. Referee says no. But there's a player down for the Bahamas in the meantime, and it is the aforementioned St. Fleur who's Need some discomfort here. Well, here comes the challenge. Ooh, and there was a little bit of a forearm on the backside there. Guessing the referee did not see that. Again, it was a difficult angle based on where the referee was positioned to get a clear view of that. And Leslie Jean was certainly asking the question when that contact was made, just after U.S. Virgin Islands were asking the question of a foul in an earlier part of the sequence. It leads to an impromptu cooling break, if you will, not an official one, but a chance for both teams to regroup. U.S. Virgin Islands taking that early bit of adversity and trying to turn it into something here, but they still trail. Just like Leslie St. Fleur, I should say, looks to be okay. And he'll be looking to continue on here, St. Fleur. Jefferson Escobar, our head official, will restart with a drop ball. And St. Fleur is back on after a brief, very brief period, seconds in fact, with Bahamas briefly down to 10 until St. Fleur could rejoin them. And he picks it right back up as the St. Fleur. Massey in trouble. Passes it out to Cheatham. Bayless up ahead. Bahamas looking to play their way through here. It's a chance to cross this into the middle, and again, needed some better service on that far side. It fizzes out of play. That's the second time in as many sequences that the Bahamas were able to play their way through, but on that far side, just need a better ball into the middle to give, well, I think it was 3 players for the Bahamas who had made the run a chance to capitalize. Dylan Ramos sends it ahead for the U.S. Virgin Islands, who win the throw. It's cleared out for a throw-in. Again, the Bahamas have a chance here to play their way through. A little give and go on the far side. Good cutback. And the shot wasn't far away. Angle against him. Flashes out for another goal kick. And again, Julmus out to the far side. It was Brandon Adderley going to work. Little cutback onto his left. Good strike. Wasn't far away from Ramos's goal in the end. That's a goal kick nonetheless. Looks like that may have come off an arm in the end. Well, Rakeem Joseph was the closest to it. And now the U.S. Virgin Islands are actually going to make a substitution here. And Hassani Edgar, wonder if this is an injury substitution, is going to come out. And we will see Cadaniel Perez take his place here. It is very rare that you see a tactical change made this early, so we do hope that Hassani Edgar if he is hurt, isn't hurt too badly. But clearly, in either event, Terry Jones felt the need to make a change, so that's exactly what he's done. And we will see how the hosts move on from that. Two potential early moments of adversity here in this Group A opener. The early goal conceded from the penalty, and then a potential, again, we haven't confirmed it, but a potential injury substitution with Edgar having to leave us. That is 2 moments now where West Virgin Islands will have to try to overcome the circumstances. Oh, that's a lovely overhead kick. And the ball is played through to the edge of the penalty area. That was a chance for Henry. He still gives chase. Keeps it alive. It's crossed into the middle. It's going to be forced to come over to this near side for a throw-in. It was picked up by Blaszka.
Attention please, ladies and gentlemen. We have a substitution for the USVI in the 21st minute. Leaving the game, number 22, Hassani Edgar. Entering the game, number 5.
Matthew Roth will take the throw.
Daniel Perez.
It's a good throw. Bahamas had to get a header onto that. Roth is forced to recover, but the Bahamas keep possession on the near side and will try to move their way forward ahead again. Massey rides a challenge and plays a lovely ball down this far side. Bahamas could have the numbers here if they hurry. Played centrally. Bayless. Miller. And Miller is forced back. Credit to the U.S. Virgin Islands there. They got enough numbers behind the ball to stop the initial counterattack. St. Fleur to the edge of the penalty area. U.S. Virgin Islands clear it, but they won't keep the possession as it flies out of play. That was Joshua Ramos just trying to get it upfield and find a teammate, but the Bahamas quickly regained possession. Another ball pinned up ahead. Again, too much on it. Ramos is there in goal to recover. Well, that's going to bounce right out of play. Bahamas in pretty good position here. Have a throw-in to work with. Bahamas have looked the more likely, to be fair, to add on to their lead since that early penalty conversion. Leslie St. Fleur with his, well, country leading 5th Nations League goal. Massey just poked that ahead. Lovely little give and go, and then the pass is just too far out in front. Again, that was a real chance to play their way through. Bayless, was he fouled? No, says the referee. It's a clean challenge. But the Bahamas win the ball back here on the far side. Another cross to switch the point of the attack. It comes up short. Headed out by Blaszka. It is a throw-in for the visitors here. Miller's throw is quick. Virgin Islands tried to clear this away, but it's going to bounce out. It's a corner. That's the attempt from Carmelo Rodriguez Jr. Didn't quite go where he wanted it to go. Another set-piece opportunity here. It's probably been the one thing, though, that's been lacking on the Bahamas to this point in the match. Accurate crosses from these kinds of moments. This one, though, is nearly right on the money. But the header goes over the top from Jordan Cheatham. I think that was Michael Massey who placed that in to the penalty area. Can't place it much better than that. That's probably the best cross we've seen. Cheatham in traffic, couldn't redirect it on target. Now then, St. Louis plays it through here. The U.S. Virgin Islands are in, and they equalize! Naquan Henry levels the match off a lethal U.S. Virgin Islands counterattack. Ice cold finish. It's 1-1. Well, the Bahamas had looked so likely to add on, but they rue some missed opportunities here, and Henry buries the equalizing goal. Wonderful counterattack, and I must say, overall, it's a lovely team goal from the U.S. Virgin Islands. That's the avenue they've chosen to really go after the Bahamas here. It pays off. And as we approach the half-an-hour mark, it is level. 1-1 is your score. And in the next sentence, the Bahamas play their way through. And it's a chance on the doorstep that is missed. Wood Julmus was played through. He could not get a touch on it, and the goal was gaping. Dylan Ramos missed getting on the end of it. Just as quickly as they were pegged back, the Bahamas nearly retook their lead seconds later. What a chance. Dylan Ramos just kept moving it forward. The referee finally tells him to put it down where it was supposed to be placed. And actually, now that we can re-examine that sequence, looks like Wood Julmus was in an offside position. So the goal would not have stood anyway. If it would have stood, it would have been a goal kick for the miss. Now then, this is Matthew Roth playing it through! And Michael Butler gets there just in time to thwart Rakeem Joseph. How open have these last couple of minutes been? Could have had 3 goals between the two sides. Henry's equalizer. Julmus offside at the other end, missed a sitter. And then Joseph just second best to Michael Butler, who corrals it for the Bahamas in the nick of time. Well, to say that goal has given the U.S. Virgin Islands a lift is an understatement. The Bahamas keep it going here. It's a chance to maybe get the ball back. Didn't work out. Pushing a chase to this far side. It's crossed into the middle. Ooh, miscommunication. And it goes out for a corner. Well, Dylan Ramos had a chance to just field his position there in goal, but it was cleared out. I think that was Barber who didn't maybe hear the cries of his goalkeeper. And it's another corner for the Bahamas. You look at the stat there, 5 corners for the visitors. Lofted in by Cheatham, but to nobody in particular as far as his own team is concerned. Headed out by the U.S. Virgin Islands. Bayless. Time and space. But it's really well defended by the U.S. Virgin Islands. Joshua Ramos, textbook defending, and he gets the possession back for his country. far, the two goal scorers, 25 minutes apart. The two goals. And the U.S. Virgin Islands turn this game on its head. Blaszka and Miller, neither of whom really got where they wanted to there on that particular part of the possession. Looks like the U.S. Virgin Islands will have the ball. It's a throw in the end. And from the throw, it's a long throw. It's headed high into the air. Headed essentially by Ramos. He gets onto it again. He's trying to keep it with the U.S. Virgin Islands here. Cross into the middle is dangerous. And it fizzes just past the head of Raheem Joseph. Well, this was the substitute, Perez. Wonderful ball in, good shape on it. And Joseph wasn't far at all away from getting his head onto that. If it was firm contact, it did look like it had a chance to be goal bound. Okay, Daniel Perez has come on and given the U.S. Virgin Islands a bit of a lift here. Of course, the biggest lift of all comes from the finish by Naquan Henry. Give the U.S. Virgin Islands a massive equalizer here in the first half after they trailed inside of 2 minutes. But the Bahamas keep on coming. Shot is saved, but was there a handball in the midst of all of that? Adderley. He was trying to make progress here. Ooh, the referee actually has brought this back. Looks like a yellow card may have come out as well. And it is going to be, it appears, like it's going to be a free kick for the Bahamas. Well, you wondered for a moment if the referee was going to allow play to continue or at least let it go. He did not. We'll wait to confirm the possible yellow card. But this is a really intriguing set-piece position here for the Bahamas, although I must say they're still trying to improve on their service from set pieces. It hasn't quite been up to snuff so far. Two players standing over this. Massey leaves it for Cheatham, who hits it right into the wall. U.S. Virgin Islands deal with the initial threat, and they're going to send this ahead. Brief chance to counterattack. St. Louis loses his footing. It falls back for Cheatham. Lovely ball played into the penalty area, but U.S. Virgin Islands snuffed it out initially. Possession going back and forth here. It's another errant pass. The Bahamas have possession. Massey out wide. There's your yellow card. Harris was booked for handling the ball on the edge of the penalty area. Battle continues here. Barber with a couple of challenges. It stays with the Bahamas with just under 10 minutes to play in the half. Now, look, Barber actually had to be pretty careful there. Could have, on another day, maybe given away a penalty there, but did enough. Just gives away a throw as Brandon Adderley continues to search for a goal for himself. From the throw, again, the U.S. Virgin Islands clear it, but not definitively. Helped along by Miller. Nice turn down this near side. Maybe a chance to cross into the middle. It's crossed into the middle, but a little too high for Adderley. He does well and lays it off. Ball back into the middle, is headed in. Wonderfully timed by Wood Julmus. And the Bahamas retake the lead. They've been in search of that pinpoint precision from the cross. They finally get it, and Julmus buries the header. The Bahamas lead for a second time. It's 2-1. And that ball into the middle after a couple of miscues earlier was on a plate. And Wood Julmus continues his wonderful scoring form in the Concacaf Nations League. He was the top scorer with 3 goals at the last edition of the Nations League. He's got his first of this season's competition. And the Bahamas are coming forth once more. Headed down. Another cross into the middle looking for Adderley. He keeps it in play. A layoff, Massey's attempt. He's going to bend wide of the target, and it's going to roll out of play. Well, 2 things were a big difference in the Bahamas getting that second goal, and a first from open play, I should add. The accuracy of the cross that had been lacking from the Bahamas from most of the half. That time it was spot on. As a foul will be given here. But the second one, Wood Julmus, the right player to aim for. He just has height, and as they say, you can't teach height. And Wood Julmus with a towering header to give the Bahamas their lead back. St. Fleur, who scored the first goal. The Bahamas again play their way through, but Barber is able to make the step, and he shepherded out of play here. It's still in play. Barber's clearance is helped along, and the Bahamas are forced to reset, at least for now. The battle continues there. That was Quentin Carey who got the assist, finally got his cross in the right position. And what a cross it was to find Julmus. Now then, can the U.S. Virgin Islands find a second response before we get to the halftime interval? Still, of course, time for the Bahamas to increase their lead as well. Good hold-up play. Adderley. Ooh, that was a late challenge. And we'll see a yellow card for Joshua Ramos. Now the captain picks up a yellow card. Now the look again, Adderley wins the ball, and well, he gets clattered into. They've been continuing to look for Brandon Adderley, and you could see why. He's been making very good decisions for the Bahamas, and well, Ramos was tardy with his challenge. Five minutes left in the half plus stoppage time. Another really good position for the free kick. Looks like it's going to be Massey and Cheatham again. It's Michael Massey into the wall. Massey leaves it for Cheatham. Just past a challenge. Cheatham loses his footing. And it wasn't ruled out. Ball stayed in play. Perez clears it ahead, but is not able to locate a teammate in the end. He tried to find St. Louis, and in the end, the Bahamas retained possession. Massey. St. Fleur. Miller dispossessed. Lovely little give and go on a back heel down this near side. Joseph has help. Henry, who tried to really lift the roof off the place, try to get the fans out of their seats with that attempt. Comfortable in the end for Michael Butler. Of course, Joseph's already scored. Laid that one off, and actually it was a good attempt at the layoff, but the shot from Henry, in the end, comfortable for the goalkeeper in the end. Now the Bahamas get a turn at trying to attack. Bayless had the right idea. And then it's one back again. The Bahamas looking to create once more. Another attempted cross potentially. No, it's going to be left. And it opens up for the shot. It was closed down nicely for the attempt from William Bayless, and it's going to ricochet out of play. Well, Bayless, Massey, Cheatham, and Julmus, along with Adderley, have been dictating things in the attacking third for the Bahamas. And actually, that went so far out of play that it's going to be a corner for the Bahamas here. Massey to take. At the back stick, it's punched out by Ramos. And is it kept in play? Not quite. It's a throw. At a minute and a half plus stoppage left in the half. Massey gets past two challenges. Massey continues his run, and he's brought down. It's a free kick. And Ramos, who put in the challenge, is going to have to be careful. He's playing on a yellow. Well, Michael Massey almost gliding past four challenges there, got past the first two, but then was brought down. Well, once again, Massey to take. Referee just trying to sort things out in a clogged penalty area. So we're about to enter stoppage time at the end of the half. Massey. Oh, it was flicked on by a U.S. Virgin Islands defender. It goes just wide, out for a corner as we are into 2 added minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth official on the sideline has indicated
that could have gone anywhere on the header.
2 minutes of added time.
It's another set piece chance here for the Bahamas. Minute and a half to play in what's been a back and forth half. Both teams have had moments to shine. Bahamas have been the better team. But can they increase their lead here? Cheatham from the corner. Good movement on it. Oh, an overhead kick attempt. It was missed. I think that was Adderley again going for the spectacular. But in the end, he could not get a touch onto it in a clogged and well-trafficked penalty area. Jet Blashka will get the throw in for the U.S. Virgin Islands. The U.S. Virgin Islands take a foul throw here. Bahamas get the throw back. Final seconds of the half. Maybe time for one more opportunity. Ramos gives it back. Chance for the shots. And it soars over the top. And that will be the last act of the half in St. Croix. Well, the Bahamas got off to a perfect start. Awarded a penalty inside of 20 seconds. Leslie St. Fleur converted that penalty in the second minute of the match, but give credit, the U.S. Virgin Islands bounced back. Naquan Henry equalized 25 minutes later, but Wood Julmes, who continues to have a great goal-scoring record in the Concacaf Nations League, reestablishes the lead for the Bahamas at the half here in St. Croix. We'll have highlights and stats to come, but we'll take a break for now here in the U.S. Virgin Islands, where at the half, the Bahamas have the lead by 2-1.
10, Bahamas. Goal number 10, Bahamas. Number 10. Goal, Virgin Islands, number 20. Goal, Virgin Islands, number 20.
Back here with you in St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Sean St. Jacques, our entire crew, happy to have you with us. Second half just about to get started here between the U.S. Virgin Islands and the Bahamas. League C Group A in the Concacaf Nations League, beginning the 2024-2025 campaign. The Bahamas have a 2-1 lead thanks to Wood Julmus's header towards the back end of the first half. We'll see if the U.S. Virgin Islands can bounce back in just the second all-time meeting between these two countries, or will the Bahamas able to increase their lead as the offside flag is up, and the U.S. Virgin Islands, who are kicking from right to left in this second half, will get a free kick. You have to go back quite a ways to the last time these two countries met in a competitive fixture. It was the only other meeting they've ever had. We'll get to that in a second, though, as the U.S. Virgin Islands look to equalize. And it's a good stop from Michael Butler. Now, Rakeem Joseph, who got the assist on the first goal and only goal so far for the U.S. Virgin Islands, taking aim. And we talked about earlier how the first meeting ended in a draw. It was February 28th, 1999. The last time these two countries met. Scoreless draw was Group A of the preliminary round of the Caribbean Cup. The game was played in Nassau in the Bahamas. Now then, can the U.S. Virgin Islands equalize here? Oh, what a chance! It was Naquan Henry for a second time, nearly getting another equalizer for the U.S. Virgin Islands. He may have come off worse for wear. Another look, sent in by St. Louis. Was there maybe a chance there at a penalty? Not sure. Blaszka back in. Henry misses the target. And Michael Butler may have also picked up an injury in the same sequence. Both players need a moment. Naquan Henry luckily back up onto his feet, scored the first goal. My goodness, nearly scored a second goal. Would have been another huge moment in the match. And again, it's just a three-team group in League C Group A. Barbados are the other team in this group, and they'll certainly have a say over who wins the group. But and these two teams have a huge opportunity here to grab 3 massive early points. And that was a big chance for the U.S. Virgin Islands to get back on level terms again. It's going to go back out of play. It's a throw in for the hosts here. Oh, good pressure here from the Bahamas. They win it back. Brandon Adderley. He stood up as he tries to get inside the penalty area. That's going to bounce out of play. Tough to tell if that was out for a corner or a throw. Referees were still clarifying. But it was a physical challenge put in as Quentin Carey comes forward to take this for the Bahamas. It looks like it is going to be another corner. And the Bahamas have had nearly 10 of them so far. And beg your pardon, it's actually going to be a throw. And the U.S. Virgin Islands deal with it. But it's not cleared yet. The Bahamas, again, relentless at winning the ball back. But that's touched ahead for Henry. Chance to break. It's a lovely ball played through, and huge stop from Butler. Michael Butler slides off his line to thwart the attack. Now Naquan Henry plays a wonderful ball between the lines here. St. Louis is the one that gets on the end of it, but Butler blocks it. And this time it is out for a corner. That's two huge chances in the early stages of the second half for the U.S. Virgin Islands to get an equalizer. Joshua Ramos to take. Jimson St. Louis is nearby for the short option, but Ramos into the penalty area. It comes up short. It's going to be sent back in and quickly flies out of play. That was Zamir Harris, who is also playing on a yellow card, along with Ramos for the U.S. Virgin Islands. I believe they're the only two players to have been booked to this point. Here's Carey. Just gets the ball ahead. Lovely ball ahead looking for Adderley, but again, it's well defended by Carmelo Rodriguez Jr. Goal kick is the outcome. He's made amends quite a few times, Rodriguez, after he gave away the penalty in the early seconds of the match. We're talking inside of 20 seconds. The referee gave the penalty. Henry was dispossessed, but a shot ends up being fired in there. That was Daniel Perez, who was a first half substitute. It goes wide. Perez has made a positive impact for the U.S. Virgin Islands since coming on. Had to come on for Hassani Edgar and has made a difference. I think that's fair to say. Henry wins the ball back. Lovely ball played towards the outside, and it's going to be a missed opportunity. It trickles out for a goal kick. That was the right idea, but the touch required needed to be a lot more controlled. Tough part about that is I think it was St. Louis. He had two options, and I think the better option was to find Henry, but went in the opposite direction. Henry, I think, is the one who's down here for the U.S. Virgin Islands. There have been two massive chances for the hosts to get back on level terms here, but they've not been able to take them. After the Bahamas were really good at times in the first half, they have been under the heat, under the pressure in the second half. It's been a great response at halftime from the U.S. Virgin Islands, but can they make it pay off? Oh, it looks like Daniel Perez also picked up a bit of a bump or a bruise, maybe even a scratch. Has to get patched up. And I believe that is Naquan Henry. He's going to have to be taken off the field here. Well, you start to wonder if Terry Jones has to make another substitution here. That would be a gigantic loss for the U.S. Virgin Islands if Naquan Henry can't continue. Well, a good round of applause as he's carried off, but the concern now turns to Terry Jones and his staff. What are they going to do here? And they don't have a ton of time to make that decision because for now, the U.S. Virgin Islands are playing with just 10 on the pitch while they mull that over. Pressure from the Bahamas forces it back to Dylan Ramos. Ramos' pass ahead was helped along, but it is cleared away. The Bahamas reset. It was another crunching tackle in the midfield. 2 players are down. Referee allows play to continue here. This could open up here for a shot for the Bahamas. Lovely little move onto the left. Massey takes on the shot. Barber blocks, and it's out for a corner. And here comes the substitution for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Henry's day is done. Tough to see his day end like that. It's going to be Gabriel Catone-Highfield who is going to come on and take his place. So it's a like-for-like change in the attack. And from the corner, it's Massey. Punched away by Ramos. Massey a second time. That's going to be forced back. Chance to chop this onto the right boot. Ooh, there was 2 lurking in the middle. Carey picks it up. And Carey's forced out. It's a throw-in for the Bahamas. Long throw from Carey. Well, it actually came up short in the end from where he was aiming. And it's a decent ball up ahead, but the littlest of flicks sends it out for a throw, and Catone-Highfield is waiting for support. Ramos just about got that through. Little give and go attempt. Perez. Still Perez. He keeps it alive, but the Bahamas clear it.
For the USVI,
and the Bahamas break up the other end here.
Leaving the game, number
lovely skill. That's Raming Jr.
Entering the game, number 8.
Massey. Adderley! It goes in! Brandon Adderley gets his goal for the Bahamas. Moving and grooving into a 3-1 lead for the visitors. He just slipped it underneath the grasps of Dylan Ramos, and the Bahamas have their largest lead of the match. Again, Massey at the heart of it. Wonderful ball through, and Adderley just gets it underneath the gloves of Ramos. Strumming his guitar to the beat of a 3-1 Bahamas lead. Well, he's certainly been worthy of a goal. Brandon Adderley's been trying and trying again and again. He gets his reward. And the Bahamas are in control as we approach the hour. He's probably had 3 or 4 close calls, Brandon Adderley. Well, that one sneaks through. Another chance. Crossed right into the middle. The U.S. Virgin Islands will clear it, but it is still going to be Bahamas' possession. Another throw-in upcoming. Carey. Didn't have too much time to control it, but it stays with the Bahamas here. And more good pressure from Perez, but again, the Bahamas will try to craft another opportunity here. Raming Jr. doesn't have a ton of space to work with here, but plays it to the edge of the penalty area. Bayless closed down by Roth. Ball's played up ahead. Adderley is onside. Flag stayed down. Ramos makes the stop. Could have been a second one very quickly for Brandon Adderley. "30 minutes plus stoppage to go. U.S. Virgin Islands trying to come back. They've had their chances in this second half. His collision there sees Butler just about clear that away. But the Bahamas have been the more clinical, and now Brandon Adderley has added on to the lead and puts the Bahamas in pole position for 3 very important points in Group A. Oh, a chance to cross this into the middle for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Wasn't definitively cleared. Cross back centrally, and Massey picks it off. And it allows the Bahamas to reset the play. Sean Bain and company doing well to regain possession as Ramos flies off his line to clear that. Both goalkeepers getting involved. Butler, not the best control on his pass. Did that go out of play? It did. It's a giveaway. Throw in for the U.S. Virgin Islands here. In what was a pretty avoidable sequence. Ball played ahead. Trying to find Christopher Raming Jr. In the end, the U.S. Virgin Islands do deal with the situation. Perez did well initially, and then follows up. Play's allowed to continue on here. Can the U.S. Virgin Islands get one back? Oh, really good opportunity. St. Louis again with some great passing, but the touch was too firm inside the penalty area, and there was no chance for the shot. And then Terry Jones and his staff were looking for a foul there. It's going to end up going against them. Bayless dragged down. And that's a free kick after the challenge came in from Catone Highfield. Another look. That is what U.S. Virgin Islands wanted as a foul. But then Catone Highfield just bumped into him. Centering pass is cut out. Tried to find Massey. And the U.S. Virgin Islands again could bring this forward, but it's an errant pass. And it's going to be a foul in the end, and a yellow card is going to come out here. Bayless, he's going to be booked, as the referee deemed it to be a poor challenge. First Bahamas booking of the match. It actually comes on the heels of Bahamas about to make 2 changes, as a matter of fact. Brandon Adderley, he's going to come out. Nahum Johnson will take his place, and Walter Sawyer Jr. is also going to come on, and Rashawn Bain, we highlighted him a moment ago, he is going to exit. So it's a double swap for Nestle Jean's group. Their first 2 changes of this Group A opener in League C. The Bahamas striding ahead. Oh, it's a pass that goes behind the intended target. And the U.S. Virgin Islands regain possession again, but don't do too much with it, as the pass goes right to the Bahamas goalkeeper, Michael Butler, with 25 minutes plus stoppage time to play. The Bahamas have had 3 different goal scorers: St. Fleur, Julmus, and Adderley. A 4th would likely put the match to bed. Carey, Roming Jr. Roming Jr. tried a little flick. Oh, and Perez flies by. Ramos, his challenge. Ramos continues his run. He's looking for a foul. And I believe it has been given here for the U.S. Virgin Islands. A wonderful effort from Joshua Ramos, the captain. Free kick is the decision. Now player for the Bahamas, he's down. And will be evaluated off to the side. It's actually the goal scorer, Wood Julmus. So the Bahamas will be briefly down to 10 themselves, while Julmus is being evaluated. The ball is sent ahead. Ooh, it's headed down. That was a brief chance. Matthew Roth needed a better touch on it to really create from that position. If he had, though, the U.S. Virgin Islands could have been in some business there. Here's your game recap. Again, Sean St. Jacques, our entire crew here with you. U.S. Virgin Islands got it back to 1-1 just before the half-an-hour mark in the first half, but the Bahamas have added 2 since then on either side of halftime. That's kept in play. Gatone Highfield loses out to Carey in the end, however. Roming Jr. almost missed the ball entirely, but he had help behind him. Bayless for Roming Jr.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. We have a
Carey.
substitution. We have a double substitution for the Bahamas.
Massey.
65th minute.
Massey on his left. Oh, it's saved off the post by Ramos. And he gets to it on the second attempt as well. Nearly the nail in the coffin.
Johnson.
Michael Massey nearly puts the game to bed at one end. The U.S. Virgin Islands looking for a penalty at the other end. But it's not been given. Rakeem Joseph thought he was brought down inside the penalty area. How quickly the U.S. Virgin Islands were able to move it up the other end. The ball goes out of play, and it doesn't appear as if the U.S. Virgin Islands have gotten their decision. And a Bahamas player needs a stretching out here. Looks to be Jordan Cheatham. I think the U.S. Virgin Islands did get a corner, but they had their eyes on a spot kick. In the meantime, the Bahamas will make a change. Julmus cannot continue. So Alexiou Cartwright Jr., he's going to come on to replace him. It's actually a defensive change for Nestle John's group. And just over 20 minutes of the 90 left. So Cartwright Jr. is there for defensive purposes. Corner upcoming. It's floated in, it's central as well, and the header from Perez is wide in the end. And Ramos was in the area as well. Might have actually been Ramos who got contact. But it's won back by the U.S. Virgin Islands. Pushed ahead by Perez. St. Louis out wide. Cross into the middle, needed to be a little bit tamer. It flies out for a goal kick. Now, Chet Blaschka's had a really solid performance so far, but needed a better service on that ball into the middle.
We have a substitution from the Bahamas in the 70th minute. Leaving the game, number 9.
Michael Butler will send this ahead.
Game, number 2, Alexiou Cartwright Jr.
Michael Massey has really dictated things in the middle of the park for the Bahamas. He's kind of been the unsung hero of this performance so far. But it's been St. Fleur, Julmus, and Adderley who have done the business as far as the goal scoring is concerned, and they are in search for another here. Lovely cutback. Well defended by Chet Blaschka. Goes right back out for a throw after the work done by Walter Sawyer Jr. Tried to find the angle. Did that go out of play? Well, the Bahamas were appealing and they get the decision. Ball went over the end line before the clearance happened. And now 3 changes are going to happen here. Matthew Roth looks to be coming out. Axel Bartsch is also going to come on, and Alfred Harris as well, along with Julius Brown. All coming on for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Roth is off for Julius Brown to come in. Zamir Harris is going to come off. Axel Bartsch is going to take his place. And it looks like the captain, Joshua Ramos, is also going to exit. And Alfred Harris, he's going to take his place. So a triple change in all for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Getting some fresh legs out on the pitch to try and change the outcome. Trailing by 2 goals. So again, Bartsch, Harris, and Brown on. These Bahamas are in here. Could be a 4th. Ramos makes the stop. And thwarts Sawyer Jr.'s attempt. U.S. Virgin Islands, again, can quickly get this up the other end, but it's too close to Butler. Again, one more time, just to reiterate the triple change. I know a lot happened during that sequence. Zamir Harris, Joshua Ramos, and Matthew Roth all came off. Brown, Bartsch, and Harris, Alfred Harris, that is, all came on for the U.S. Virgin Islands. So they've used 5 changes here, Terry Jones' side. Bahamas have used 3 to this point. Well, Quentin Carey and company not going to be in too much of a hurry to take the throw here. Carey from the throw has his cross blocked. They'll settle for another throw instead. Oh, it nearly bounced all the way through. Cleared away by Perez. And a reset for Leslie St. Fleur, whose goal really jump-started the occasion. It's Massey. Oh, he nearly threaded that through, but it does fizz past. There's another player who's had a big impact for the Bahamas, Christopher Roming Jr. He has been roaming, that's for sure, but he's also been dictating the play. And another big reason why the Bahamas have been able to create so many chances and fend off some of the big chances as well. Roming involved there again. Gets into and out of trouble. Good pressure from the Virgin Islands, but Perez sends it out for a throw. 15 minutes plus stoppage time to go. If the Bahamas can hold on, they'll go right to the top of the group in League C's Group A. But of course, again, we should mention it's a 3-team group, of course, and Barbados are certainly going to be major, major factors in how this group plays out.
Your attention, please, ladies and gentlemen. We have a triple substitution by the U.S. Virgin Islands. And the
throw-in's taken quickly by the U.S. Virgin Islands. It's laid off. Oh, it's a lovely give and go! It's in! It's in! Two marvelous give and goes! And the U.S. Virgin Islands are right back in it. It's 3-2. With 14 minutes to play, Rakeem Joseph leads the celebrations. St. Louis does so well here, but the goal scorer is Rakeem Joseph. He just gets it past Butler off a ricochet. 3-2. And there's still plenty of time left. Another player who's just been chomping at the bit to score. His persistence pays off, and all of a sudden, we've got a real game on our hands here now. Yellow card has been given to one of the U.S. Virgin Islands players here. We'll come back to that. Waiting confirmation. I think it was Massey who got fouled. It's Axel Barch who's been booked. So it's going to be a yellow card for the substitute. Massey looks to be fine for now. He'll run it off for the Bahamas, and well, we could be on for a grandstand finish here. Game has been back and forth throughout, but U.S. Virgin Islands have not led. They're in search of coming from 2 down to level this, after they've had to fend off some chances that nearly put the Bahamas up by 3 goals. But here we are, 3-2. A lot of time left. That's going to be touched ahead, but there's nobody there to track it down. Throw in for the Bahamas. Well, we mentioned a little bit earlier that the Bahamas had a couple of changes that they can make, and looks like they're going to use them in a moment. That's out for a throw-in. The 2 players who are getting ready are Nathan Wells and Kai Perez. And it's one of the substitution, I should say one of the substitutes. He might have to come out here. Yes, Cartwright, who came on as a substitute earlier in the half, is going to have to exit here. He has an injury. And Nathan Wells is going to take his spot. Kai Perez is the other player who's going to come on, and Jonathan Miller will exit. So it's a double change. Both are really for defensive purposes here. The Bahamas really, at this point, kind of in hold-on mode here. Certainly capable of grabbing another, but they're trying to fend off the U.S. Virgin Islands right now, who nearly get through again, but it's well read by Butler.
In the 80th minute.
And this will take us down to the final 10 minutes plus stoppage time.
Entering the game, number 19.
U.S. Virgin Islands knowing that a loss doesn't end it, but it would put them in a tough, tough spot.
Number 2.
They can come back and get something. It could really change the full outlook of the group very, very quickly. It's why there could be so much drama with a 3-team group. Some might say it's unorthodox, but it could certainly provide the spills and thrills, that's for sure. And this game has done that as the hosts come forward again. On the near side, it's Jimson St. Louis. Was he fouled? Referee says no, it's a fair challenge. St. Fleur under pressure. Raming Jr. able to get it to Bayless. Now the U.S. Virgin Islands keep on pushing. Carey. Raming Jr. Anytime they've needed it, the visitors, the Bahamas, have been able to just get a bit of a feel back. Passing the ball in and around the midfield's helped them out a lot, but as soon as I say that, it's a miscontrolled pass, and it is a giveaway here. The U.S. Virgin Islands were winless in their last Nations League campaign. Can they come back and get something here on home soil? Well, that was pushed ahead, but the Bahamas cut it out. Massey's dispossessed. Goes back to Ramos. Ramos is able to elude a challenge and clear it. But he can't find a teammate. Raming Jr. And still moving the ball ahead. It's out to the far side. Could be crossed, but it's well shepherded out of play by Barber. It's a goal kick. As again, the substitute, Walter Sawyer Jr., tried to get involved for the Bahamas. But again, visitors have not quite put this game away yet. The home crowd keeps pushing on the U.S. Virgin Islands. There's still 7 minutes left for them to grab something from this. Well, appeals for a foul. Play's allowed to continue here. There's a player down with a cramp. Catone Highfield. Oh, the shot is blocked. St. Louis. What a chance that was, but that's a huge intervention. Corner upcoming. Oh, the fans would have lost it if that had gone in. Jimson St. Louis has had a couple of big opportunities. The discussion, though, is continuing to go on over something else here. Dylan Ramos, the goalkeeper, has come to midfield to have a word with the referee about something. And there was a player for the Bahamas down. There was, I think, one foul appeal mixed in and then a possible injury, maybe some cramp. In the end, it's going to be a corner, just the second for the host today, and Massey has to get his head onto that. The Virgin Islands will settle for a throw. Ball pinballs around. Chance to cross this still. Good step in defensively. That was the substitute, Kai Perez. Axel Barsh. That's going to trickle out. It's a goal kick. Despite the appeals from the U.S. Virgin Islands for yet another corner. Axel Barsh almost able to create another set piece. "5 minutes plus stoppage time left. Could we get a dose of late drama in this League C opener in Group B in the Concacaf Nations League? Ooh, that was nearly an opening. Still could be down this far side. Blaszka plays it across. It's in! It's in! The U.S. Virgin Islands have done it! Gabriel Catone Highfield equalizes. And from 3-1 down, the hosts have leveled. It's 3-3. Absolutely incredible. Jet Blaszka picks his head up and puts it on a plate. It comes off the shoulder of Catone Highfield, and he flips with joy as he equalizes for his country. Extraordinary scenes here. St. Croix absolutely erupts. The super sub, Gabriel Catone Highfield, has leveled it. Up the other end, Ramos is there to hold on. There's still 3.5 minutes to go, by the way. Still time for a winner in what's turned into a Nations League classic.
We have a goal for USVI.
Incredible resolve from the U.S. Virgin Islands here. They were 1-0 down. They were 3-1 down. It's 3-3. More good hold-up play. St. Louis. It's crossed into the middle again. Butler is there. And the U.S. Virgin Islands all of a sudden feel as if they can go on and win this. It's been an epic encounter here. Butler's clearance bounces into the hands of Ramos. And the U.S. Virgin Islands move it forward again. This is Barber down the far side. And a give-and-go attempt is picked off. The Bahamas regain possession. They still have a chance to reclaim the points. Rahming Jr. up ahead, a slip from Sawyer. Carey picks it back up, but his pass is picked off. Another chance for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Catone Highfield. Harris. Center of the park, this is Brown. Some of the best build-up play we've seen from the hosts. It's Blaszka. Blaszka's cross is blocked. And it goes out for a corner as we tick down to the 90th minute. St. Louis will trot over to take it. Crowd building up towards what could be another moment of magic here. St. Louis' ball in is headed! Oh! Onto the roof of the net. Axel Bartsch nearly completed the comeback. Now St. Louis' ball is right where you want it, into the mix. On Bartsch. Just had too much traffic around him, couldn't keep it down. We go into the 90th minute, still tied. Rahming Jr. scampers past a couple of challenges. The Bahamas still have a chance here to win this again. But that's not going to be kept in play. It's a throw. Throwing down the line for Perez. We'll see how much stoppage time there will be left, but that's a giveaway to Massey. As you can see there, we're going to go into 4 added minutes at the end of the match. Plenty of time for someone to grab some late glory here.
Ladies and gentlemen, the fourth official on the sideline has indicated that there'll be a
The Bahamas were 3-1 up earlier in the half. The U.S. Virgin Islands have come back to tie it. Can the Bahamas regain their lead? That was an attempted shot, blocked away. 4 added minutes still to go. And the Bahamas get a throw-in on the near side. Didn't you miss the Nations League? How good has this been? It's been a wonderful match. Carey crosses it in. Ramos catches. Massey was waiting in case he didn't. Ramos up ahead. That's going to be flicked down. But the whistle, I think, is going to end the sequence. It's a free kick for the visitors. St. Fleur wins a free kick. Cheatham up ahead. Good header away. And now the U.S. Virgin Islands could be away here. Wonderful run. There's numbers around. Chance to cross this again into the middle. It's laid off. A potential shot. He's going to ricochet out for another corner. St. Louis again being the catalyst. 2 minutes left. And a huge set piece upcoming here. Now the look, St. Louis lays this off. Julius Brown did really well also. Right back to him. And St. Louis shot blocked away. But it leads to a corner with 1.5 minutes left. Can St. Louis find somebody? And from the corner, punched away, only as far as Brown, but Brown couldn't control it off the Butler clearance. And that's going to be a foul against Julius Brown to give the Bahamas possession as we're about to enter the final minute. Carey to send it ahead. Is there time for one more late twist? Poor touch there, but the U.S. Virgin Islands keep possession. Perez sent down the line, and then the center pass is picked off Gatone Highfield. Couldn't find a teammate. Final seconds here in St. Croix. St. Fleur up ahead. It falls kindly for Brown. Brown up ahead. It was blocked and then cut out. Carey Bahamas trying to just get this ahead, but they're going to run out of room. That's going to be a throw-in for the U.S. Virgin Islands. They take it quickly. There could be time here for one more opportunity. It's a run-through, critical challenge from behind. It's cleared away, and it's full time in St. Croix. Well, an instant classic, really, here in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Incredible resolve from the hosts. The U.S. Virgin Islands come back from 3-1 down to claim what could be a vital point for their hopes of finally being promoted to League B. The Bahamas, who were the better team for most of the match, let 2 points slip away in the final minutes. The hero in the end, really, is Gabriel Catone Highfield, who equalized in the late minutes of the 90 to give the U.S. Virgin Islands a well-earned point after a 3-3 draw. What a match this turns out to be. And it's just, again, the second all-time meeting between these two. In the end, it finishes very similarly to the first meeting 25 years ago. Honors even. However, it was 0-0 when the two teams met back in 1999. Much different story today. 6 goals in the end, split down the middle. I will say, have to look at the vast context of the group as well. It also leaves the door open for Barbados to really come in here into the group when they have their games later on in the month to take control of the group as well. So we'll see how that plays out, but it's time to recap this one here today. Full-time highlights and stats still to come before we leave you for action today. This was a League C Group A encounter, and we ended up having a back and forth match that really gave us just about everything. Just under 20 seconds in, Bahamas were given a penalty, won by Wood Julmus. He was dragged down by Carmelo Rodriguez Jr. Referee had a good think over it, gives the penalty, and Leslie St. Fleur dispatches the penalty in the second minute. That gave the Bahamas a perfect start and a 1-0 lead before really much had happened in the match. Huge moment in the early stages. The captain converts to make it 1-0. But the U.S. Virgin Islands, they would have a first half response. St. Louis was involved in a lot of things. Great ball here. Joseph into the middle, and the equalizer from Naquan Henry in the 27th minute to make it 1 goal apiece. Huge moment there. And the U.S. Virgin Islands were right back in it. Ice through his veins for Henry. 1 goal apiece. But the Bahamas were the better team for most of the match. They created a vast majority of the opportunities, it must be said. Great cross into the middle. Wood Julmus climbs the highest and gives the Bahamas their lead back. 2-1 was the score with just under 8 minutes left in the first half. And that would be your halftime score. The Bahamas could have had a few more in that first half as well, but Wood Julmus using his size and his, well, skill to give the Bahamas a 2-1 lead. Then in the second half, again, the Bahamas had to absorb some pressure, but then they get a lovely finish here. Brandon Adderley gives the Bahamas a 3-1 lead. They felt good. They were up by 2 goals, feeling like they could go on and finish the job. And I must say, that the Bahamas could have added on a few more even in the second half as well, but they didn't. And that left the door open for the U.S. Virgin Islands. Huge goal there from Rakeem Joseph to make it 3-2, and the crowd really started to believe at that point that something could happen. That came in the 77th minute. Game on with quite a lot of time still to play. 13 minutes, in fact. Then Jet Blashka with the cross. Gabriel Catone Highfield with the equalizing goal. Super sub with the header. 3-3 with 4 minutes of the 90 still to play. The crowd absolutely erupted, and Catone Highfield with a flip to celebrate. And I must say the U.S. Virgin Islands had a chance to win it at the end, but honors even is the outcome. What a match. The drama that we've really come to expect in the Concacaf Nations League on full display. You can say that the Bahamas had the possession, they had more opportunities, but the U.S. Virgin Islands had the heart, they had the resilience, and they fight back from 3-1 down to claim what could be an invaluable point in their League C campaign. The Bahamas will have to go back to the drawing board after they drop points here. For our entire crew, Sean St. Jacques saying so long. Wonderful match here in St. Croix. Stay tuned for more Nations League action throughout the week.
.9% a woman name. That